Hello everyone, in today's video we're going to be talking about PlayStation and them talking about purchasing FromSoftware and their parent company Kodokawa. This is on PC Gamer. It is written by Ted Litchfield. Thank you for the article. It will be linked down in the description, or if you want to read along and if you want to check it out yourself. The title goes, "My worst fears of PlayStation exclusive future for FromSoftware have been averted for now. Sony is forming a strategic alliance with parent company Kodokawa but hasn't bought it outright. Sony is now Kodokawa's largest shareholder at 10%, which I think is a okay outcome. I'm glad the whole conglomerate of everyone like PlayStation and PlayStation and Microsoft owning everything is being averted a little bit, at least, because I do feel like the third parties are kind of just being all bought out by big companies. It kind of sucks. Before we continue on, I'd like to remind everyone to please subscribe to the channel. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers, and once we do, we're going to be doing a Q&A video, so please subscribe to the channel, and I'd really appreciate it. Sony has increased its stake in FromSoftware parent company Kodokawa to 10%, becoming the largest shareholder in the business, while the two corporations have entered into a strategic capital and business alliance. According to a joint press release that has been rumored for several weeks, that Sony was in talks to fully acquire Kodokawa and thus its subsidiary FromSoft, as well as vast library of manga and anime properties. It's interesting that Sony, to be fair, Kodokawa is a huge company. They own so much stuff. It says so later in the thing, but they own so much stuff. So it'd be interesting to see if they even actually were going to ever be able to acquire them, because the amount of money they spent just to increase the stake to 10% is insane. So who knows how much money they're actually talking about and what the bid was, or like what the offers were. But considering how this much money was spent just for 10%, I can't imagine it them being even close to actually purchasing them. But the big thing is that FromSoftware is still going to have independence from Sony to continue doing what they're doing. Like, they're working on the multiplayer Elden Ring now, so we'll see how that goes. But I'm just glad that they aren't being bought out by a single company. To be fair, they are technically owned by Kodokawa, so technically they're not a independent company, but having a game console owner own you is definitely different. According to the press release, Sony spent 50 billion yen, or $317 million US, to increase its stake in Kodokawa to 2%, from 2% to 10%. Back of the napkin math thus has the company's overall value at just under $4 billion. The two companies say they plan to discuss specific innovations for collaborations, such as innovatives to adapt Kodokawa's IP into live-action films and TV dramas globally. Interesting, because I guess they're a Japanese. Kodokawa is a Japanese or Korean specific company, if I remember correctly. Let me just quickly check that. It's a Japanese company. I don't know why I thought it was Korean. It's a Japanese specific company. And Sony does have a much bigger global market share, so that would make sense. Expand global distribution of Kodokawa's anime works through the Sony Group, further expanding publishing of Kodoka games, develop human resource to promote and expand virtual production. What I had feared since rumors of potential acquisition first appeared from the FromSoftware was that FromSoftware would become a full-on first-party Sony studio through this acquisition. Though Sony has been bringing more of its games to PC, it's always on a one half to full year delay for blockbuster single-player games, like the kind FromSoft makes, the new multiplayer-focused Elden Ring, Night Ring notwithstanding. It's true, and to be fair, I don't think it's multiplayer only. I'm pretty sure you can play that single player. I think a big thing for this as well is that Sony hasn't been doing very well in terms of its first-party titles, because the biggest one obviously is Concord was a Sony title, and they blew so much money on that, and then they fired everyone. They shut down the studio, they shut down the mobile game studio, and it seems that Sony has been really doing, I don't know if bad things, but they've been really meddling with Bungie when they bought Bungie. So it's been a really strange relationship when it comes to Sony and acquiring studios. So I'm kind of glad that they are not doing that. Further, the continued PlayStation exclusivity of the FromSoft and Sony Japan studio developed demonsouls and Bloodborne remaining something of defining console exclusivity, original sin for PC gamers. It's not just that, is that those games also were never expanded upon. There is no Bloodborne 2 and there is no Demon Souls 2. And a lot of people consider Bloodborne the best Souls game, period. And there's never been a sequel. So, it's kind of weird that they just haven't made more. So I feel like it's kind of a good thing that even though people like Bloodborne, it's probably better that FromSoft is free from Sony, because they haven't made a Bloodborne 2. And when Sony, like, why? It's so strange that they haven't. So it's kind of like, I feel like it's a good thing that they aren't exclusive, because for some reason the good games that they did make for PlayStation, they didn't greenlight sequels, or something happened, so sequels aren't being made. It's unclear how the deal might change the publishing of FromSoft games moving forward. The studio's go-to partner has been Bandai Namco, but under this framework, PlayStation exclusivity of FromSoft's future games, timed or otherwise, doesn't seem likely to be. Yeah, I mean, it's only 10%, and I don't think it's that big of an... Unless they're throwing some big money at them, I don't think it's going to be a big problem for exclusivity, unless they're funding the project like they did with Demonsouls and Bloodborne. This increased stake may position Sony for a full acquisition down the line, but hey, tomorrow's problems for tomorrow's me, I agree. Maybe by the time that happens, Sony will have reached the point where it's fully launching its games on PC, not a far-fetched proposition, giving the continued growth of PC gaming and relative stagnation of consoles. It's true, the consoles have been kind of slowing down in terms of sales, and PC is growing bigger, but it's also because consoles have gone so expensive that it's like arguably you can buy a PC not as expensive. Like, of course, graphics cards right now are crazy expensive, but buying a pre-built PC is only slightly more expensive than buying a console, and buying a mid-range PC, like building yourself or getting someone else to build it for you from like a PC store or a PC part picker and stuff like that, is only slightly more expensive. And it's also a PC, so it's not just gaming, it's also a computer. And for the most part, consoles are still basically just consoles. I mean, there are apps like YouTube, all the Netflix like TV app stuff, but like the computer can do more technically, and all that stuff can also be on a computer as well now. So I guess it's kind of like blurring the line of getting a gaming PC isn't necessarily exclusively for gaming, and getting a console, other than gaming and like YouTube and stuff, like it doesn't do more. Though I guess the line is blurred when it comes to that. But I do still think it's a really good thing that they haven't purchased outright FromSoftware, because I do think FromSoftware, just having them make games that they want to make, and I mean, they're making the Elden Ring Night Ring game, which is like a class-based Elden Ring dungeon crawler thing. So I think that's really cool, and it's just kind of hoping that it works out. I do agree that it does make the acquisition down the line more likely because of the increased stake, but I mean, hopefully by that point PlayStation will be in a better position, because it does feel like PlayStation is acquiring studios not realizing how much they're actually worth. Like, I remember the Bungie one, like but the Bungie purchase was not a financially good decision, I feel like, and obviously Concord wasn't as well. So hopefully down the line it's fine, but who knows when that will actually be, because it could be from years to I doubt it's going to be months, but it could be how many years? Like, are we talking 1 to 2? Are we talking 5? Are we talking a decade? Who knows? I feel like the biggest tell will be the next gen consoles, when after like the PlayStation 6 and whatever the next Xbox is going to be. Like, if those don't sell very well, then that's going to be very interesting. Or if it's going to be like, because like the PS5 Pro is such a ripoff in so many ways. So I wonder how the next console is going to sell, other than Nintendo, because Nintendo is different comparatively to Sony and Microsoft. So Nintendo's special when it comes to that. So I don't think whatever the successor to the Switch, it's going to do fine. It's not going to do fine. It's going to be number 1 most likely, but we'll see. Thank you everyone for watching today's video. Once again, I appreciate it if you subscribe to the channel. We're trying to hit 1,000 subscribers and do that Q&A video. Other than that, if you'd like to follow me on other places, I have a Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, and a TikTok, as well as a Blue Sky and a Threads if you'd like to check me out on those social media platforms. Thank you everyone for watching today's video, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye, everyone.